there, boys and girls. It's Miss Moon, and yesterday we wrote a little bit about dreams, and we've been hearing some fairy tales, and so I thought that this book that will be a good addition to our week. It is about dragons, and there's lots of dragons and fairy tales, and on Monday we're going to hear another story about a dragon, and it is called The Dragon Machine. It's a really good one. The illustrations in here are just beautiful. There's my title page, The Dragon Machine. And this is written by the author is Helen Ward, and the illustrator is Wayne Anderson. He drew all the pictures. George noticed his first real dragon on a rainy Thursday, and the more he looked, the more dragons he saw. Ignored and overlooked, the dragons went unnoticed, just like George. If you look closely at these pictures, it's kind of hard to see, but there's little bits of dragon tails sticking out all over the place. They're hiding all over in this picture. Oh, there's one popping out of that lady's purse. Dragons perched on the telephone wires, and they lurked in the trash cans. They chased butterflies through the tulips. They teased the cat. They sank the water lilies in the pond. George fed them stale cookies and smelly cheese. And that's when the trouble began. The dragons followed George everywhere. George spent more and more of his time cleaning up muddy footprints and saying he was sorry for breaking things that he had not broken. George's dragons were becoming too troublesome to stay unnoticed for much longer. Something had to be done. George went in search of some advice. The dragons followed George to the library. He consulted the Encyclopedia of Dragons. There were dire warnings. Never feed a dragon. Never let a dragon into your home. Oh, too late, thought George. There were also tragic tales of dragons discovered and captured. And then he found a map of the place where dragons belonged. It was a great wilderness, ignored and overlooked and safe, but George knew he would have to show them the way. Down here it says, but you can read this. Here be dragons. George drew up plans for a machine. The machine had a beginning, a middle, and a tail end. It's a really cool picture. It had lots of pipes and pulleys and beautiful strong wings. George hammered in the last nail. He packed cookies and smelly cheese and then climbed up into the cockpit. His dragon machine lumbered, engine ticking gently into the night sky. Look at that. It's beautiful. There's George driving him up here in the eye. The machine clicked and whirred over the sleeping town. It rattled and clunked over the moonlit fields and woods. The dragons followed. It clattered and banged and blundered into the great wilderness with a crash. The dragons followed. George was so tired from his journey that he fell asleep in the wreckage of his dragon machine. There he is, if you look through the eye of the dragon. See George sleeping in there. By morning, all the dragons were gone. There was an emptiness all around and inside of George. An emptiness at home, where George should have been. His parents searched the town, they searched the fields, they ventured into the great wilderness looking for George, and found him among the broken pieces of his dragon machine. George and his dragons went home. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. George and his dreams of dragons went home. Everyone was happy to see George, and George was happy to be back. He was no longer ignored or overlooked. His parents baked a huge cake to celebrate his return and even gave him a dog as a present. George was the only one who noticed there was something unusual about his dog. Do you see what's unusual about George's new dog? And George loved him all the more. Such a cute story. So, my question for you for today is, if you could have any pet in the whole world, not a pet you already have, but if you could have any kind of pet, like maybe you could have a horse for a pet, or maybe you could have a polar bear for a pet. It could be something really crazy. But if you could have a choice of any kind of pet in the whole wide world, what would you pick to have? And I would like to have you write at least one sentence that maybe says what you would like to have, and if you want, you can explain to me why you would pick to have that pet, because that would be even more interesting of a story if you could have 2 or 3 sentences and explain that to me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. And on Monday, Miss Whitson's going to read us a dragon story, so that will be a good time too. I will see you guys later. Bye.